Good morning, folks. It is Wednesday. It is currently 1 a.m. I'm Riley.
I'm Hammy.
And we have a special guest with us, Mr. Reyes. Hello.
Hello, thank you both for having me on. It's my pleasure to be on here. And we were going to talk about things in the veteran space, and we are talking about things that are pushing the envelope forward for our community. But I also mentioned to you, Hammy, why I wanted to come on here. And when I first discovered your work, I think it's really important for my generation of GWAT warfighters and special operations men. We forget that time has moved on, and I forget. I still feel like I'm 27 years old. I'm 53. I'm 53 now, but I still feel 27, and that I'm still fighting, and I'm still a warrior, and I'm still plugged into the, I don't know, the ambient modern life and culture. But the truth is, some things have moved on. And I think it's really important for me to connect to my younger people that are still holding up the values and loving the flag and representing their country. And I thought it would be really important for me to connect to a younger audience that has the same value system and passion and patriotism that I do. So that's why I came on here with you all.
We're super excited to have you, Rudy.
Thank you.
This is a huge honor. Rudy's very famous. What the end is he's a cadre, a super cool cadre in the world's special forces toughest test. Did I get that right?
You got it.
Yep. And you guys are on season I've watched like every season.
We're on season 4 now, and I can't tell you where we're shooting. And I will tell you it will be extremely difficult and challenging, like every season. How we choose our environments. We choose the environments that we do training in or go through selection or have been in war and in combat, so that we know that these terrains and the weather and the cold or the heat or the jungle, it will press you to the very edge. And why we do this, it's not because we want to hurt and haze the recruits. What we're really trying, it's true, what we're really trying to do is find their very best and find out who they really are. So many people look up to these athletes and these celebrities or models or even what would you call it, social media stars too. They have a lot of fans that look up to them. When they reveal who they really are, they only empower the people that believe in them even more. And you'd be surprised how further you can reach an audience and connect to people when you are your authentic self. And so that's what this program's about. We don't break people, we strip them back. We peel them back and we find out the real person. Oftentimes it's really the first opportunity that the individual gets to be themselves.
You
You
really?
know? Yeah, well, because in modern entertainment, we tend to cultivate a brand or a look or a this or a that, and and although that's important for marketing and to sell, and of course you must be successful, but you can get lost in that. And so I find it really beautiful and revealing. Some of the recruits, celebrity recruits, initially I didn't like them at all. Remember, they're there to prove themselves to me and Billy and Foxy and Q. They're there for us. They're in our world. We're not in their world because our world is real. Our world is absolutely real. But then some of them kind of blossom, and I'm happy for every single recruit that makes it as far as they can, and those that make it to the end, they're really special.
They are, yeah. It's really interesting because I feel like seeing you on screen and like in cadre mode it's
Yes.
different. Is it like a switch or is it just like a
Yeah.
locked in version? Because you're pretty funny. I'm not gonna lie.
Thank
You're
you. Thank you. I think I do have a good sense of humor. I'm not a comedian, but I have a great sense of humor, I think. You know what? A lot of outside of the special operations world and the warfighting world, not many people know me as Sergeant Reyes. Not many people know me as team leader Reyes. When you see those dress blue pictures with those stacks of medals on my chest, that's for fighting and killing the enemy. And I fought in some heavy, heavy wars in the early days. When the towers were hit, I was on the ship and I went straight into fight then to Pakistan and then Afghanistan. And then my team and my brothers, we took Kandahar. I would come back later with only less than a year back stateside, long before the citizens at home knew we were preparing to invade Iraq. So my platoon and my unit was in Kuwait months and months before any of you knew that we were there, and we were running operations, and then ultimately we led the invasion. That was captured and turned into a book called Generation Kill, and Generation Kill was turned into the HBO miniseries, which really launched me into movies and TV, and is renowned. Yeah, it's renowned as the most authentic and most realistic portrayal of our global war on terror. It's not just because we're recon Marines and badasses and such. It has become all of our stories. I run into veterans in every airport and all over the world, whether they're Army, Air Force, Navy, or Marine Corps. Generation Kill is their story. And after that, I fought in Fallujah as well. I fought in Ramadi. Then I did counterterror and fought in Northeast Africa. So I spent a lot of time in the dirt, and the leadership skills that you see on Special Forces, that's all real. I don't know, Hammy and Riley, if you know this, but we do not reshoot a single thing. My briefs are right down the barrel, and I do it the first time correctly. It's one shot, one kill, and there is no chance to reset or redo anything because it has to be realistic for the recruits. We're looking for the recruits' transformation. So they have to feel and know it's real. If you're repositioning camera and it's cut and take again, then it's lost. So
Yeah.
we really lean, myself, Billy, Foxy, Q, we lean on those decades. I think between us all, we've got 80 years of experience in the military. So we lean on that for the leadership, communication. And of course, we have to do all of the super bomb-ass tasks and jumping to the helicopters and everything to show that it's possible. And we're all in our 50s and Billy's 60s. So if we can do it, anybody can do it.
So how do you select the recruits?
Riley, that's a great question. It's a question that I don't even know. I am not, Riley, I'm not in charge of casting. Now, some of my great celebrity friends, I've got a few of them that are really great, good people. Brian Callen, the comedian, dear brother of mine. Frank Grillo, legend stud actor that looks like he's like like his little brother, his younger brother, you know. And he thought about casting me in one of his movies as his little brother. I've got some great people, and sometimes they reach out to me and ask what they can do to come on the show. Fox has a whole system and people that do deep dive interviews. You have to do some physical fitness stuff. You got to do some swimming stuff just to make sure that you can at least last the first day. But what they look for are people who are either really top of their game and maybe are now shifting into another line of work or retiring from sport, or they're looking for people like Tara Reid and like Marion Jones, people that have had a hard go and are looking for some redemption. So they're looking for people that have something to grow through and blossom through. And I think they also like seeing the big, strong dudes come on there and them fail.
No.
Do you notice? Do you notice how good the women have done?
They've
It
done
blows.
fantastic.
Incredible. It's changed my mind how I think about women in the Special Forces. I believe there is a place for some very unique women that have the raw material, the intellect, and the toughness to want to endure a hard life like that. I do believe that there are some out there, and I'll tell you what, they're never going to be as their muscles and bones are not going to be like ours. But their robust thinking and their mental flexibility, as well as the fact that you women can get into places and observe things that they'd see a guy like me coming a mile away. I think there is a place for them, trained properly and properly supported. I'm very impressed with how tough my female recruits have been.
I think honestly that that's a pretty hot take because, you know, coming from you being in that realm because, you know, we see this argument online a lot of the times that like women don't belong in like the special forces like category or like they don't have a place. And the argument that I see a lot of the times is that women's thinking comes from like an emotional standpoint versus like men have more of like a logical like whatever type view and like it's up to
Analytical.
opinion, yeah, it's up to opinion, but I think it says a lot just coming from you.
But thank you, Riley. I believe the women, the female, the women, I don't like saying female, it sounds so antiseptic. Women,
Yeah.
those that can access the analytical side. And well, look at me. You know, I'm Spanish. I'm Spanish and Portuguese. Um, my people are naturally emotional and passionate, and we love to hug and kiss, and we're emotional with our music. I'm that way. However, I access that analytical part of my brain and compartmentalize pain and stress. I think anyone that has that ability, man or woman, they would be an asset.
Mm-hmm. Have you noticed just kind of from because what you did in the military, I'm just going to be honest, is insane. It's incredibly it's insane when you transitioned because now you're kind of on like the more you're on a way different civilian side than like most people would get to. For that transition, how was that for you being like such a badass to kind of go into the world? What was that like? What was that like? Because I'm sure a lot of people would relate to because I just got out and I'm finding difficulty and even sometimes frustration with like either work ethic or just like discipline when it comes to like working with other civilian groups. What's your experience with that?
Exactly as yours was. Exactly as yours was, and still, and still that way. So instead of, I mean, I can't change, nor do I want to change. I don't want to change. I have, you know, I really don't want to. Um, I value myself. However, I've learned to adapt some things and lean on my communication and pick the right tool for the job. And I still, if you just look in the glass right over here, I've got 3 SEALs, a hard hat diver, and a Green Beret, and they're right there. So I still keep my community together. We just, as a community, as a squad, as a fire team, as a recon team, put our heads and bodies and minds together to then do new missions. Now the missions are not in warfare; they're in ocean conservation. They're in movies and television. They're in writing books and doing talks, but they're missions nonetheless. My advice to the vetrapreneur, as we spoke about earlier, my advice is to find new missions, and if there are no new missions, you create them. But you do not have to become a civilian. You are a citizen that is rounded out with the grave responsibility of serving your country and seeing a life and being a part of something bigger than oneself that most American citizens just don't have that experience. We're very special in that way. We lean into that. And again, look for a mission. And if there is no mission, you make one yourself and lean in on your military pedigree, lean in on your discipline, stay physically fit. Be careful. Look, I'm drinking soda water. I'm not drinking beer. Stay physically fit because it keeps your honor and your pride. Um, your thinking is better when you're physically fit. Your attitude and your self-concept is more positive. Because trust me, I'm sure you're already recognizing it now. Out here, the world is quite tough because we don't have our platoon with us. So
Yeah, your battle buddy
sometimes,
system. It's
yeah. So sometimes you're on it all alone, and it can be overwhelming. It can be overwhelming. It's even overwhelming to me sometimes.
that word vetrapreneur. Did
Yeah.
you make that up? Is that
I
patented? How
think
did you? Because I
it
love it.
it should be patented, but I think I heard it in conversation. Um, I want to say it might have been Nate Boyer
Mm.
and and at a veterans project get together in Sundance. We were at Sundance Film Festival, and Tim Kolchek, who runs the Veteran Project, you need to get involved with him. Have you seen, if you all look on my Instagram, those lovely black and white photographs with my voiceover?
Yes.
That's his work. He did that work. Some of those works are 8 years old and 10 years old.
Oh wow.
Um, he travels to our veteran brothers and sisters, does a deep dive and stays with them for like 3 or 4 days, travels and and shadows them, and then sits them down and then has talks, and then and just gets to know you and know your story. And he's a photographer, and he takes really lovely photographs, and it's a document. It's a piece of heritage, for that's how we
Hmm.
approach it for what will come forward. We were talking about what you brought up earlier as transition, finding value, finding mission, and what the hell do we do with our lives after living for something so much bigger than just paying the bills, you know? And so we said, well, we can't work for anybody else because after you work for Uncle Sam, you're not gonna listen to nobody. so we we become entrepreneurs. We figure out a mission ourselves. But we've got that little special razzmatazz. We've got that special sauce, and we're veterans, so we're vetrepreneurs.
So I think something that I talk about because I'm an instructor currently. So
Awesome.
I'm in that cadre position. So something that I talk about with my kids a lot is the why. And like we all know what the why is, and in the military community, the why is the driving force for what we do every single day. So in the military, I always teach I yeah, he's here.
Bo.
I teach my students that you are going to change like while you are in the
Yes.
military, and your why is going to change with you. So, once a Marine, always a Marine, absolutely. But now that you're on the other side of the military and you are a civilian, do you still carry that why with you? And if you do, what is it now?
It's so interesting. That's a great question. Um, Riley, there is something a little bit different about the Marine Corps. It's true. It's true.
Hmm.
Um, we are indoctrinated in such a way that we are forever changed. Um, and what makes us different is our passion for history and culture, not the equipment, not the uniform, um, but the passion and culture and history. And because we share so much suffering together. To be honest, the Marine Corps is really, really freaking hard. It's not glamorous, it's not glorious, except for once in a while you get to fight and kill. But most of the time, it is very, very hard. You live in holes, you live in a ship, it's 120 degrees. You constantly work out, preparing yourself for the worst day on the battlefield. You're approaching everything with a zero defect mentality in which nothing can go wrong. So I must manicure myself, my weapon, my character, my resolve, always. The downside, by the way, that's why we're the finest fighting force. I mean, nobody compares to us. Nope, nobody does. Not even close. It truly isn't even close. There's a dark side to this, though. There's a dark side. Dark side is that we are wound so tight that we have relationship problems, we have alcohol problems or substance abuse problems after service. We have difficulty at work because we don't know how to soften up and get back and bridge, find a bridge to someone instead of making them somehow crawl through the river with an immense current that they may never get to us. We have to build the bridge. I still see myself as a recon Marine, even now, even though, look, I'm getting some gray hair. But you see my recon jack, my insignia, that jack of all trades. You see the diver, you see the paratrooper wings, you see the skull, you see the K-bar fighting knife, you see the paddle. The reason why we carry this, the recon jack, in our inside of our arms is because to remember the POWs behind enemy lines. It's not about us, it's about everybody that went before. And on that skull are 3 bullet holes, and they stand for pain, misery, and suffering. And this is what you must expect on every mission. And then there's a crack going through the skull, and that represents your resolve that to your death you will overcome those things. Now, when you're young and romantic, pain, misery, and suffering, and resolve, oh my God, it sounds so fucking glorious and beautiful. And you know, you don't wait to get your recon jack until you're, you know, a legit recon Marine and you've been to war. So I got mine when I came back from Afghanistan in '02, when I got back on the ship and we finally went back to Australia. Me and all the young guys got our patch. They weren't joking about that pain, misery, and suffering, because we carry that pain, misery, and suffering with us for the rest of our lives. How we deal with it, we can improve. My why was to fight for my teammates, to have courage with whatever mission I was given, because I did a lot of suicide missions, some heavy stuff you couldn't believe. I crawled and patrolled and put my gun trucks a kilometer away so that the dogs wouldn't smell us. Myself and my teammate low crawled through the canals and the shit to cover our smell so I could get to this bridge and climb underneath this bridge with 100 pounds of explosives that I trained all week with my eyes blindfolded so I could pull out the charges and set in the leads. Doing explosives is not like the movies. It's dangerous, and if you get it wrong, it's over. I used my chin on an I-beam, my legs wrapped around one of the spans to hold myself there as I took off my pack and put it on top of the bridge. It's in the cover of darkness. And by using my chin, my neck, squeezing, I pulled out my charges and I started taping them. Did this across the bridge to blow up this bridge when the insurgents came over. Do you know I forgot about that mission? Do you know I'd done so many things in the fog of war over so many years? They all blend together. In some ways, I forget about everything sometimes, but then sometimes it comes flooding back. Well, I was in a mental institution for a year when everything fell apart. This is about 10 years ago, maybe 12 now. Funny is I'm coming back in August to be their keynote speaker. I was in this institution for veterans, and it was a real dark time in my life. It was a real sad time. And we had a therapy group called Triple Threat. Combat, heavy combat, PTSD, and substance abuse. And I was in there, but we had a meeting there, and so they were starting to bring active duty Marines and sailors to our meeting. And my hair was long by then, and I got up to speak, and then I hear in the back, Sergeant Reyes? And most people know me as Rudy. Sergeant Reyes? And this Lance Corporal, who is now a lieutenant, is there. And he said, Sergeant Reyes, I'll never forget seeing you underneath that bridge, putting on those explosives. And I said, man, Sergeant Reyes looks like Spider-Man. And I remember hearing that in my comms. Look at Sergeant Reyes, he looks like Spider-Man. I'd forgotten about that. I'd forgotten about all the brave stuff. The brave things, right? That's the thing that is our why. Can I be brave? Because we're probably going to die doing the stuff we do, doing it long enough. Now my why is, can I live? Can I live for my kids and make them happy to know their father? Can I live to make an impact in my veteran community and my country so that we don't forget all the brothers and sisters, not just from our time, but from way, way back from when we started this country that have sacrificed so much? I just got back from, I can't tell you where, I'll just say the third world. The third world, they still have polio there. It's, it, I
Oh.
saw a woman with an arm brace, a little cane, and her leg folded the opposite way, and her ankle was rolled.
Mm.
The children were so inbred that the little girls, all their eyes were crossed.
Oh.
Um, I've been to every continent but Antarctica, and I'm going to Antarctica this fall. I've been around the toughest places and then also some of the most opulent, beautiful places. Our country is so special that look at us, like we get to do what we want. We get to be free. We get to build a new job or business or an aesthetic that we want to do. We can communicate. You can criticize anything you want about policies.
Mm-hmm.
Other places you can't do that. So I've got to make a difference to remind especially our young people, how special this place is, so that maybe they can be as loving and as patriotic to it as myself and my generation was. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? I really feel driven to do that because I think it will be lost if I don't do something about it and we don't do something about it.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing to love your country and to be like proud of it. And it definitely does feel like at times it's something that's kind of slightly getting a little bit lost. Like it's almost like it's the opposite. Like you're proud to be unhappy, but like in the
Oh,
country that you're in. And it's this weirdest thing because we do have, like you said, even now, and that's even like currently political wise, there are countries that are close with us where if they say something online they're getting arrested. And
totally. The
yeah,
UK, our
it's
brothers in the UK.
yeah, it's
I'm with you.
huge.
I'm with you. Imagine going to North Korea. Do you know in North Korea um, that they don't have a word for love?
Oh,
They have a word that means I adore the supreme leader. The closest word they have that they are taught is the love of the supreme leader.
oh
They
my
don't even
goodness.
possess the vocabulary to say, I love you, mommy. I love you, dad. I love you, brother. I love you, sister.
Mm,
So we have everything here. Let us not waste it. Let us edify it. Let us
hmm.
respect it and let us grow it. Let's keep
Yeah,
growing it. Let's keep being exceptional, not not finding some kind of dark glamour and being mediocre or being in pain. I'm understanding that there's kind of this strange little cult going on with young people now, really young people like teenagers, like talking flippantly about suicide, talking flippantly about I'd rather be gone or oh man I'm so happy that I'm so bummed out that they're dead because I'm not with them, stuff like that, almost
hmm,
in a sarcastic kind of way. When we in our veteran community are dealing with suicide as an epidemic, um, if we don't start bringing back the love and the passion and the respect, then it won't change.
yeah. Riley, do you, because you have, so Riley has a very interesting, she's in a very interesting place right now because she is with like kind of the younger generation that is coming in, like sometimes even fresh
I
18-year
see.
olds. And I
I
think
see.
you've noticed a difference in like was it personality? I forgot what you said it was, but you've noticed like a difference in the younger generation, even compared to like yourself.
Yeah, so I've been in for almost 7 years. I'm about to hit my 7 year mark, and
Proud of you.
thank you. I
Proud of you. It's
appreciate that.
awesome.
Thank
It's
you.
awesome.
But just seeing even the difference from 7 years ago to where we are today, the military is constantly changing. The military is constantly changing, and it's not going to wait for you to catch up with it. It's going to
Yeah.
leave without you.
Well said.
So it's definitely it's super different. It's super different. I love the relationships that I build with my students. I'm very personable with my students. That never would have happened, even as short as 7 years ago. That never would have happened.
That's true,
Um,
yeah.
the but also some of like the behaviors on the flip side of that, wild. Never would have imagined doing any of that long ago, let alone today.
How
Kids
is
getting
their
arrested.
toughness? How is their toughness? Their toughness.
It's not great. I'll be honest with you. It's not. But the Air Force is different, and the Air Force does. We do kind of have the stigma of like being soft and all that in
Corporate,
between.
corporate. I've never called you soft because do you know that some of my finest recon brothers are pararescuemen? And a matter of
Hmm.
fact, the highest decorated pararescueman of all time is my best friend, my instructor, and my Force Blue teammate, Roger Sparks. Highest decorated pararescueman of all time, recon Marine. So
Oh wow.
you all have great programs. You have very corporate environments because that's the skill set that is brought to bear for what you elevate on the battlefield. So there's going to be different. There's going to be maybe the things that are most important and how they're expressed are going to be a little different. But the baseline of discipline, because the long work hours, whether you're digging freaking fighting holes or you're working in the freaking office or you're setting up a CP, the long hours, because remember, you're not hourly. The mission is what you got to do, right? And
Hmm.
that's the only thing that matters. If the people have the grit and the toughness to think in terms of mission, not when is libo or when are we off work or whatever, then we'll be okay.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I think that this group of kids that I have right now is they're a really, really good group of kids that I have right now. And I have them for about 3 months at a time. So I am able to spend like a
Wonderful.
little bit of time with them. Um, and it sounds silly really to say it, but something as simple as like, hey guys, like I need to teach through this next break, or hey guys, I need to keep you an
Hmm.
extra 15 minutes over lunch, or like last night we were there like an extra 2 hours in the building because I had to get stuff done. And like I didn't hear a single complaint. No one got up and like went to leave and like that kind of thing. And it sounds so silly, but this is also the beginning of their career, and this is setting
Yes.
the foundation for how they're going to approach their future. And I'm really happy that I'm seeing that now. But on the flip side of that, you would ask the question about like how is their toughness. It comes in waves, right? Like
I
I
see.
will have, and everyone is always going to have a very different, you know, attitude towards whatever. And I can't talk to Airman Smith in the same way that I can talk to Airman Jones. And I
Sure.
do need to
Leadership
approach,
styles.
yeah,
Yeah, leadership styles.
absolutely.
Totally. I'm with you. I'm same. I'm same.
Yeah. And you just have to take some approaches differently. So, while I could tell Airman Smith, hey, what the hell are you doing? Why didn't you get a haircut this morning? I would have to go up to Airman Jones and say, "Hey, Airman Jones, like the regulation, like go get a haircut." So
Yes.
just a
Yes.
difference in people.
Yes. And I'm curious too that since I believe that the marks for IQ might be higher or more important for the Air Force, and maybe not so much physicality. So already, it's going to draw a different kind of people. But
Hmm.
again, I worked with the Air Force, like in warfare, and I always had A-10s. I used
Oh
Spectre
wow.
gunships. Oh yeah, I used you guys to fucking destroy shit. And yeah, and then I had CCT and I had pararescue, and on the tip of the spear from my world, it was always really premier. But then again, everybody is because they're serious to be there. To be there, you
Mm.
got to want it. You got to want it more than anything else. And when you have that kind of can-do attitude and men and women that will suffer to just be special, it's not like you're making more money. I look back and I thought, man, I was freaking balling, right? Jump pay, dive pay, demolition pay, danger pay, and then war zone tax free, right? Man, rock and rolling. I'm making like what a lieutenant or captain makes. I was toppling regimes and doing suicide missions and having to freaking comb through dead civilians, doing battle damage assessments, and then having to see my brothers be put in a body bag and clean off my buddy's arms out of the Humvee. That's what I was doing for $60,000 or $70,000 a year. And it's so interesting with that perspective because I grew up in a boys' home and I was an orphan, so I grew up very poor. I
Oh,
found myself in an incredibly professional environment with the best of the best, and I felt very successful. And I had a young wife. I provided well. We had a nice little apartment in Carlsbad, outside of San Diego. We were close to the ocean. I felt very, very competitive and successful. Um, but I look back now, I make 60 grand like in 2 days of work filming. So it's interesting, this perspective. So I was myself and the teams that supported me and the people involved, we were leveraging trillions of dollars worth of business. Trillions of dollars, right? Oil business, shipping, geopolitics. It doesn't get me down. It used to make me really angry because of the money that was going into contracting, which, by the way, I eventually became a private military contractor because that was my skill set. Um, the education that I got in the military by working with so many diverse people with a can-do attitude that all wanted to be there, to include the Polish, to include the Australians, to include the British. That education is priceless. The background is priceless. So I'm a rich man just in education, I would say.
that's beautiful. That's really
It really,
beautiful.
it's really true. I mean, look at what Billy and I and Foxy and Q, what we're able to do, you know? It's just wonderful. We're able to bring our military culture into the homes of not just the people in our country. You know, people watch it all around the world.
Mm-hmm.
I have messages of people that they're inspired to join the military in their countries.
Oh,
I got a message of a woman that was in prison, and she started seeing the show 3 years ago. It so inspired her. She got her associate's degree. She started working with a lawyer. She's working on getting waivers and some things expunged so she can join the Army because she was inspired about the character that we display. So, oh,
wow.
yeah,
How does
yeah,
that feel?
oh man, you know what? My little brother Michael, he taught me this saying, and it's so right on. Rudy Reyes doesn't have bad days. I have bad moments, but never bad days. I get so much love and support from my entire community and from my two children and from myself. For the first time too, ladies, when I look in the mirror, I really respect myself on my own. Um, it's really special to me, and you know that's why I'm always smiling. And although I'm hardcore on my work because there's the standard, and I'm trying to develop people to their best,
Mm.
the rest of my time, I'm in love with life. I find beauty in nature. I love rebuilding coral reefs and doing ocean conservation. Um,
Yes,
I do.
you have a charity, a nonprofit or something,
Yes,
right? Can
yes.
you
Forced
tell
Blue.
us about that? Yeah, that's
Sure,
exciting. That's
sure. Oh,
huge.
it's so awesome. This is the best thing I ever did. And remember, I couldn't have done this unless I was in the Marine Corps, or unless I was a combat diver in a recon Marine. I wouldn't have access to this training and experience. I'm from the Midwest. There's no ocean in Nebraska. There's no ocean in Missouri. You know, our country gave me the ability to do this because I showed aptitude and discipline. Simply that. Um, so now I use those amphibious skills and combat dive skills with other special operations commandos from not just our country, but from Australia, from the UK, from South Africa. And we partner with marine biologists and ocean scientists, as well as have really big sponsors like Pepsi and the NFL. And we bring teams to, yeah, I know it's pretty rad. And I'm the co-founder. Um, we bring teams together and we rebuild and protect and preserve communities underwater in the same way that I was trying to do in Iraq and Afghanistan. but I was not successful there. But I can be successful in the ocean. And it helps heal all of our hearts. We now have a
Mm.
child's program. We have a children's program called OCS, like Officer Candidate School, except it's Ocean Conservation School. Ocean Conservation School. And the first few courses were for children of the fallen, children of our fallen
Oh.
brothers. And in a sense, they get to dive in the oceans and learn about the charismatic megafauna, learn about ocean conservation with their fathers, in a sense, because we are their teammates. And underwater, it's almost like their fathers are still alive with them, because they are. They're alive through us. They are alive in them. And we have now a scholarship program for these kids. They now have grown and gone on to ocean conservation in their collegiate life, and they come back
Mm.
to teach the new kids. Now we've opened it up to children of our special operations communities, families. We realize now that bringing families back together, waiting until someone has been killed, is too late. So now we're bringing them together now, and we bring their parents, and the parents go on the boat while the kids, we train the kids. We train the kids in the pool for days, and they have to do dive physics, and it's just really, really amazing. So whether we're saving turtles or tagging underwater mammals, or rebuilding reefs, or doing debris removal, we use our skills and our incredible physical robustness, because nobody can dive better than we can, to be a part of the science community and the conservation community. So we're fighting the ultimate battle, which is to fight for our planet. That's what we're doing. Force Blue is the name of my organization.
That's awesome.
You guys must be the most jacked marine biologist coral reefers.
It's so true. It's so
They're going to
true.
be like, who the heck are those
Yes.
guys?
Oh, at first you can imagine, the marine biologists and stuff, they're the most savage of their very
Career education field?
educate. Yes, yes, they're, what would you, yeah, they're like academics, right? They're
Yes.
academics, and they are the adventure seekers of the academics, right? And when they first got on the boat with us, and we're all these fucking jack fucking caveman, and they're like, what the hell is going on here? Now we go to their weddings, they go to our weddings. We are such a family, and we all can connect on the love for the ocean, how we feel so close to God by being underwater with these beautiful creatures, and that we love to work hard at doing something that's going to protect and provide a future for these communities, for our kids and grandkids and everyone. So it's really, it may be the most important mission I've ever done. I wonder if all of the war and all the combat was to prepare me to where I'm at now, where this is the most important war, the war of changing hearts and minds, the war of defeating malaise and complacency, the war of killing depression and bringing back positive motivation. I think this is the most important time for me, is now. Not, even though I did some great missions, and I'm proud of my service, I think I think I'm the best I've ever been now, not when I was an operator. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's and
Thanks.
it's interesting because there are people that are gonna I have this like weird kind of saying, I don't know if it really makes sense, but like if you shine a light on a tree or something, like the brighter the light, the darker the shadow. So and there are some people
Mhm.
like that have really dark shadows, but there is like a yin yang to life and there is like a flip side, and you've been through so much and now you're like this shining bright light and you're like shining and you're bringing people together and you're doing all these amazing things, and it's such a beautiful come around story.
Totally. You know what? I once thought about something like this, like without the shadow, um, when the light hits the sculpture of your life, it's the shadow that gives it form.
Mm-hmm.
So our shadow struggles, our sadnesses, our angers, our mistakes, our regrets. And you all, one day when you're 53, if you've lived a real life, you're going to have regrets, which is part of it. Um, that shadow gives shape to that beautiful sculpture, flawed or not.
Hmm.
Flawed or not, it gives shape to it, and we must embrace that.
Definitely. So how is my mic on? We're on.
Yes.
How long were you in for?
7 years in recon and 10 years for the triple letter agencies.
Wow.
I'm sorry.
Uh, Different organizations in the triple letter agency world.
Okay.
Think like
So,
CIA, NSA.
oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I-
Counter-terror, counter-poaching, for different organizations, with all guys like me.
Okay. So if I can ask, what was like the driving force for you to take on the new adventure of
The
now
f-
transitioning from the military into a different role?
well, first, then I joined the Marine Corps because I saw a documentary on orphans in Kosovo. So I joined as a true believer to go fight for innocent people. I had no idea what that looked like. As you know, it's one thing. It's one thing to imagine. It's another thing to be carrying a rifle for your country. I was a true believer always. When I lost, when I lost my faith um, in Fallujah and the aftermath of leaving, leaving some loved ones that I had made promises to there, it it hit me in a way. Maybe because I'm an orphan, maybe because I was abandoned myself. Um, it hit me in a way that I was not prepared for, and I didn't know what to do, and so I became a workaholic first, and then I got into film and television, and then I became an alcoholic and a drug addict, and so I went back to the gun. Um, so I went back to work carrying a rifle again, and I loved it. I was great at it. Rebuilding teams and fighting an Al Qaeda derivative in Northeast Africa. I was going on patrol with some of the best and brightest, most beautiful Kenyan and Ugandan people. I taught their PT program, their hand-to-hand program, their combatives and land navigation patrolling, and I led them in these beautiful missions, fighting for their country and fighting to protect their rhinos and their elephants. But every time I'd come back from missions, I would go right back into depression.
Mm.
So I just was living mission to mission. I had not really faced what I had been through, you all. It took so much time. You know, I never went to a single funeral. And you know why I never
Oh.
went to a funeral? Is because I was still fighting. You can't go to funerals when you're still fighting, right? And I was fighting so often. Pakistan, Afghanistan, Iraq again, Fallujah, Ramadi. And seeing children suffer, seeing being a being a calloused, hard man to my wife. She didn't recognize me anymore. I didn't recognize me anymore. Nobody was talking about mental health back then. We were too heavy in the wars.
Yeah.
And I was doing my best to survive and cope. One day I turned around and I was completely lost. I didn't know where I was at, and I didn't know who I was anymore. When I started Force Blue, um, Jim Ritteroff, my co-founder, he's right in there. He took me on a diving trip because he saw me on the streets. I was homeless in New York City, and I had done a film project with him maybe 3 or 4 years before, and he bumped into me, and he could see that I was not well. He called me later and asked if I wanted to go to the Caymans. I said, Jim, I don't have a job. I don't have any money. He said, oh, well, we'll figure something out. So he brought me there. And all my years of combat diving in the cover of darkness, deep in that freezing cold water, pushing 150 pounds of gear, and your weapon is on you, and you've got your buddy next to you, and you're tapping your mast to communicate with him. And when you get to that high water mark and the waves are crashing over your head, and you can see the moonlight coming through the waves that are crashing, and you're pulling each other's buddy lines off, getting your weapon ready, and you're getting ready to come up through that beach, and if anyone's there, you got to kill them. That was my experience in the ocean my entire career, is as a predator, as a fighter. When I went to Cayman Island and I got to dive during the daytime, slick, with just my swimming, just my, my trunks on, and scuba, because we use rebreathers, no bubbles, no troubles, 2 tubes here. You just hear your lungs go. Now I got to just be free underwater, and I saw these beautiful fish and these schools of fish, and I was just so moved. And when we got done with that first dive, Jim said, well, Rudy, I'm so glad you're here, because these reefs are being destroyed by the ship liners, the cruise ships, their anchors, and they've got to make more harbors for these cruise ships because the local population needs the jobs and the money. And they're looking past the damage, the irreparable damage that it will do to this beautiful environment. So I'm glad you got to see it before it's gone. And then Sergeant Reyes fucking snapped right back. I said, we've got to do something about it. I felt like I was right back in Fallujah, and I was working with that family, that Christian family. I had to crawl underneath this tunnel in the middle of the night to link up with them. And I talked to the woman. Women never talk to you in the Muslim world, especially in Iraq, especially in those times. And the woman had these tattoos right here. And she was talking to me in broken English. And I said, do you need money? Do you need medical equipment? What do you need for helping us? Because I was utilizing their culverts to infiltrate an area south of Fallujah that we were having problems with. And they had a water tower that I used as a sniper position. I'm a scout sniper as well. She said in broken English, she just want the road to maybe not be dusty. I said, you want us to pave the road? Yes, the dust, it makes our children sick when they walk to school.
Oh.
That's all she wanted. I said, well, you know what? Fuck yeah, you're banking on America? Yeah, we're gonna win this. We're gonna win this fucking war, and we're gonna get these streets paved, and and nothing's gonna stop me. All right? You have my word. And in the end, everybody's watching you out there. They could tell when we were being replaced and another unit was coming in. And the night before I left, they were attacked. That next day, I went to their home with my gun trucks, all my fucking guys chalked up. And I could tell by the looks of all the Iraqis around that they want to kill us, but they're afraid to kill us because they know we'll kill all of them. That they'd already killed one of their children. There was a bomb, a UXO, in their house that hadn't blown up. They'd blown up a piece of their house. They'd killed their sheep. And I know those death squads are coming later that night. And I call my commander. And I really thought he would listen. I was naive. I said, we've got to get him out of here, sir. You know these people have been helping us for 6 months. We got to get them out of here. They're going to be killed. He said, Sergeant Reyes, it's not your problem. Return to base. I said, no, sir, it is my problem. We gave him our word. I gave him my word. We got to get him out of here. We just got to get him out of here. And I was so hot. I was so tired. I'd been fighting for so many years. I was so tired. I was so hot. I said, just return to base, Sergeant Reyes. And then I saw myself taking off my equipment and leaving my weapon, saying goodbye to my team and running back to their home and getting an AK and staying with them until the death squads came and fight to the death and fucking or kill them all or be killed doing it. That's what I saw in my mind. But then I gave up. I got back to my vehicle, got my teammates together, and we went back to the base. I wasn't going to let that happen with this ocean. I wasn't going to let that happen with these animals. I don't know why it almost like it made me emotional. Like I guess almost like transference. Like I saw that family in these little animals, you know. And so I said, we've got to do something about it. We didn't know what we were going to do, so we started, and we created a school to repurpose our skills. We brought in marine biologists and scientists, and we went to work. We made work happen. We had no money. We had nothing. We had a logo that I had sketched out on a piece of paper.
You made the logo?
Yeah, that was my idea. Pretty cool, huh?
That's awesome.
And we started pushing, and then somehow 3 years into it, it hit a tipping point and somehow got on the radar of NFL, and then Geico, and then Pepsi, and then now we started with 7 teammates. I've got 50 hard teammates, another 100 auxiliary teammates. We have also changed legislation in Washington, D.C. so that any veteran, if you take your VOC rehab and you get your advanced open water scuba, you can come to our organization, do on-the-job training, train up for a mission, and after a week, you get a Dominus Ominous, and now you're a Force Blue Science diver, and you can come to any of our missions. Also, all of my men, we make a stipend, 400 a month, or 400 a day, because the work we do is intense and special. We bill it. You'll see look at my pretty house. This is our whole team. Look at all my teammates back there. Look at all my teammates. Look, that's our pool. We bring all the teammates together and we work together like that. And this is what we do now. It took 10 years. That was 10 years ago when I went on that dive trip. And look at us now. Hopefully that's an inspiration for you all to do whatever you want to do and bring it to fruition, you know?
Rudy, you made me cry. Your storytelling, everything you've been through. If you don't feel inspired after that, something's wrong with you.
Thank you. And I hope you too. I mean, you guys are already inspiring so many. I mean, look how many incredible followers you have. You guys have built a hell of a little platform, and it's only just the beginning. So if I can do this with Force Blue, imagine what you can do with what you have passion for and what you want to bring to fruition, you know?
Yeah, I think that I can speak for both Hammy and myself, and hopefully all of our followers, that one, we so appreciate you coming on this episode and sharing a piece of your story and all of that. And really, and I mean this so genuinely, from myself and Hammy, that I think that we don't have the words to say that we're proud of you,
Thank you.
for finding the beauty in the ocean, and for continuing your purpose, and for finding your why, and just being you, and just the impact that you make on people. So we appreciate you, and we are very proud of you.
Thank you so much. You guys really made my day. Thank you so
Very
much, Hammy.
infectious, very,
Thank you.
very motivationally. And I feel like I'm not doing enough right now. I feel like, why did I even sit during this podcast? I should have been standing and walking on a treadmill.
You're doing push-ups this entire time.
I'm always doing isometrics and stuff, but also it's really good for your blood flow. Yeah, you know what? Things do come in seasons, but you can always, always, always dig in a little harder or focus a little more. And when you find yourself kind of fractured or distracted, come back to your breathing. Come back to like what you said about your why. I always have my son's face, my beautiful son's face on my phone. And every time I see little Dylan, and every time I see that little Dylan, I'm like, Rudy, this is your reason to be the best and the most powerful and the most inspirational and the most influential and the most authentic and character-driven version of yourself. I don't worry about the money. I don't worry about status, because look what's happened naturally, because I've done good work. The right people care about me, and the message keeps going further and further. And if you can learn something from me, that would be it. Dig deeper into you, and you'll find the gold.
I think that's beautiful. And I think I think this was absolutely phenomenal. I think it was so beautiful when you said, like, when you got out, the thing that helped you was find your mission. I know there's, especially coming from someone like you, I mean, you guys have like the hardest transition. And I think that's just something that everybody can adapt and find. And I think that what you spoke about today is going to help a lot of people. And it's been
Thank
an
you.
absolute honor, Rudy.
Thank you. Thank you all. Thanks for having me on. And I think it's going to be a great bridge for the brothers and sisters between the generations, you know? And,
Mhm.
and that's my goal. That's my goal because at our baseline, we're all service driven and passion driven people. We believe and want things to be better at a bigger level than just ourselves, and we're willing to carry a little more than others. It's fantastic. You guys inspire me. I hope when you share this, people will get involved. Check out Force Blue, forceblueteam.org. You can
Force
always
Blue.
see my, yeah, you can always find, you know what? Get me you guys' address and we can send you like hats and stuff like that. We've
Let's
got really cool,
go!
yeah, we got really cool swag. Um, and, uh, and I'm easy to find on the YouTubes and all of that stuff. You just Google Rudy Reyes, you'll see everything. But I've got Instagram as well, Real Rudy Reyes, and I do fitness stuff on there just to help people. I don't charge
Mm,
anything. I just, you know, everybody seems to be struggling these days or with their health. You notice how many people are obese, and didn't used to be like, ladies, when I was younger, it didn't used to be this way. It was not this way. Uh, I want to help people, not
mm,
make fun, help, inspire,
mhm.
teach, because they've got a beautiful life too. They just got to really dig into it and find that gold, you know.
Yeah.
That's
What of a hell
beautiful.
of a first guest.
Oh my God, I know!
Thank
Ah!
you.
Well,
Thank
Rudy,
you.
we will make sure that all of your
Okay.
links are down below so that our friends can go ahead and find you. To the folks listening, thank you for tuning in. We hope that you really enjoyed this episode. Again, a huge thank you
Thank
to
you.
Rudy himself for coming on, and we hope to catch you guys next time.
Thank you so much. We'll see you next time, all right? Moon's over my hammy. We're going to Denny's. Moon's over my hammy. It's a dish. It's a dish. It's pancakes, scrambled eggs, cheddar cheese, and ham.
That actually sounds good.
It's really good, and you put syrup all over it. It's fucking delicious.
That sounds amazing. Thank you, Rudy. Thank you
You're
so much for
welcome.
Thank you.
everything.